Near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Lots to get to today on a Monday, the first Monday of December. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. For all of you joining us on Facebook, YouTube,
Is that a new
Magic,
thing?
wherever you are listening, watching, enjoying the program.
First Monday. We're going to start having a first Monday.
Yep. First Monday.
We'll get to that in a minute. When I
looked back, a memory popped up yesterday on Facebook from our very first Monday show in December. And I think I described the show that morning as just like The View, except with two ladies, or
Right.
two women.
Two women. I went to College Station this weekend. Feedback, if the mics sound good today, we'd love for you to. Everybody was so quick to go, hot mics, hot mics, hot mics. We'd love for you to say, sounds great, sounds great, sounds great, less filling. I went to College Station on Saturday.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, it should be good.
Partake in a
Look at the people check.
tailgate party.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful. Met some new friends and old friends and had a great time with Donnie. And we were concerned about traffic, which is fairly commonsensical, right?
Yep.
So we actually went to like Giddings and then went LaGrange. Went on out of LaGrange and took up 159 and up through Warrenton and Round Top and underneath have you been under that little single lane bridge that goes? Anyway, you come out and you go through Snook and Lyons and you kind of come in on what's essentially
Do you
University
bypass
Caldwell?
what's his name, or you go past what's his name, that insurance guy that has the big ranch on the right hand side as you're heading towards Round Top of Warrenton?
What's his name?
Oh,
I don't know. It'll come to you.
Fred Loya.
Oh, probably. Yeah. You go by Fred Loyas. Yeah, it's because Fred doesn't pay claims. But you go right through there.
Thank you, Ricky King.
And I mean, traffic was non-existent. We were there by 10 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, when you said first Monday, it made me, I'm sorry, folks. It just made me think about swap days and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Dearland Feed. It's Monday. We're just getting wound up. 48 degrees under mostly clear skies in Victoria, heading to a high today of 70. It's going to be 70 degrees in beautiful Bluebird, San Diego.
Scott
Texas.
Tomko, Wendy Hughes Garcia, Greg Garcia on the podium this morning, Amanda King, Daniel Wade White, Rena Scherer, Judge Posey,
Hi,
Kendra
Judge.
Douglas, Ricky King, Bobby Leister, Jordan Glass, Sherry Jacobs, Lisa Poole, Randy Langston, good morning, Judith Glass, Justin Glass, Judith, I don't know who Judith
Can
Glass
you
is.
this week, can you have your people get with his people? Well, actually, the judge has been around so long, his people have people. You know what I mean? So
Go do
get with
lunch?
his assistants' people and set us up with a lunch with Judge Posey.
I can do that.
Wade and Carter owes him lunch.
Micah Patton, Tammy Williams, Marvin Mickish, Bobby Sparkman, good morning, Scott Tomko, Will Vincent, Lisa Poole, Scott Snow, Ricky King says we sound a whole lot better than we look.
We know we're on track.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Crystal Map.
Sheree Brissett, Scott Tomko, Stephanie Conti, Deidre Johnston. Good
I
morning.
love the way
We're
you
all
know
here.
it's not Chris. I think that's just awesome that we know that even though
She's made that plain and clear that
it's
he's
more
not
than a
up at
joint
this time.
account. It's Chris Sheree
Yeah.
Brissett.
Good. The judge is ready. We're ready.
All right.
If anybody's watching on YouTube, make a comment just to see if the comments are pulling in. There's Be Small. Good morning. So, Hunter Biden pardoned. Is that where we want to start this morning? Do we want to start with Hunter being pardoned?
It's not a bad place to start. And I kind of want to ask our listeners how they feel about it. If you have a real feeling about it,
Even though he said he was never going to pardon him, right? He wasn't going to pardon him.
He kind of ran on that. He said he ran on it with the emphasis like when George H.W. Bush said, read my lips, no new taxes. Joe Biden kind of ran on, you can take this to the bank, Jack. I'm not going to pardon Hunter. But the Democrat Party left Joe Biden, much as it's left so many others, and Joe Biden decided he didn't want any more of it.
Here, I'm going to read you the statement from
Yeah,
Joe
let's
Biden.
listen to this statement. It's worth hearing.
Yeah. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. I want to pause it there. This is the guy who oversaw the DOJ and watched silently as Letitia James and others had to go way into the weeds to try to find ways and reasons and ability to prosecute Donald Trump.
No
and
doubt
then
about it.
Old what's his name, the federal special
Jack
prosecutor
Smith.
Jack Smith decides that we're not going to go forward with anything because,
You can't
they
sue
had-
a sitting president.
well, I don't think it was that. They realized they have no case, and
The
it was
hypocrisy
stuff-
of the left is always their biggest tell.
Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form.
Agree. I agree with that.
Almost never. Doesn't mean they're never.
And it's only because they're lazy prosecutors. It is still a felony to feloniously fill out a gun form.
Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties are typically given non-criminal resolutions.
Yes.
It is clear that Hunter was treated differently, unless
You pay it back with money you got from Burisma by using your dad's influence while he was vice president, then that might be a little bit of a problem.
might be a little bit of a problem, or unless you were a political opponent of Barack Obama or somebody he didn't like, and then he sicked the IRS on you. Well, Joe
Yes.
Biden was the vice president.
Absolutely. So the hypocrisy
Continue.
continues.
And that's all the hypocrisy just in the first paragraph.
Yes.
Second paragraph. The charges in this case came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Let's not forget, his son was given preferential treatment to the story by the media, except for the New York Post, by Twitter at the time, by all of social media who would not allow the Hunter Biden laptop story to be on their platforms, reported on. The Biden administration and those around him said it was a bunch of lies. The DOJ and the FBI debunked it. Said it wasn't his laptop. Remember all that.
Now I will grant, if you read this paragraph right here, I pretty much agree with everything in that laptop for whoever wrote this for Joe Biden.
Yeah. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases.
Okay, here's the
It's an
paragraph I
interesting
agree.
spin.
I
But
agree
anyway.
with this paragraph right here.
No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough.
I don't disagree with any of
No,
that.
it's stopping there, though. That's the thing. You're done, Joe. You're done. They're not going to come after you anymore.
This is the same plea deal this is the deal that he reached on the private level, as we called last week while you were out of town, with President Donald Trump. We told you at the time that Biden, no doubt, said to Trump in some type of closed session, hey, look, pal, I can get you out of this deal you've got going with Jack Smith, but I don't need any more hassles on Hunter or me after this is over. And I guarantee you Donald Trump said, frishy. I'll give you a pass, you give me a pass. Let's wrap this up. The next day after their meeting, Jack Smith says, hey, we've decided to drop all of our stuff. And now Joe gives a pardon to Hunter that is far reaching, goes back to January of 2014 through December 1st
Yeah, for
of
those,
24.
a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1, 2014 through December 1st, 2024.
Which means that no matter what they later accuse him of doing associated with Burisma or Ukraine or giving money to the big guy, all of that stuff Hunter has been pardoned for in advance.
This is
the biggest, broadest pardon I've ever seen.
11 years. Basically 11 years.
As long as the Aggies have been in the SEC, that's how long this pardon is.
And he's a bigger winner.
Hunter definitely has won more than the Aggies. Yes.
So there you go. Jared McCrugan checking in. Matt Boucher.
There's my mom. Good morning, Mom. James
Randy
Kerr.
Lang says government is a joke. And we're the punchline.
I think that you see it read both ways, right? Like I can say objectively that Hunter was singled out and that Hunter is really not the big fish in this deal. His dad is, and I think his dad's just painfully guilty of all kinds of things. But at the same time, you can't, the media and Joe, Simple Joe, they have a tendency to make you look at Hunter as just a maladjusted frat boy. And Hunter Biden is 56 years old or so. This is a 50-something-year-old addiction-riddled crackhead. So it's not like...
And they haven't even gone after him for the pictures of supposed or the pictures of him with supposed underage girls that were found on his laptop. Let's not forget that.
So I'll read verbatim and totally agree with Judge Posey here. Not excusing the lies, but the vast majority of fathers would probably do the same thing for their son. But the vast majority also wouldn't lie about it. He should have gone further and pardoned Trump. He should have gone so far as to say, in my quest for unity and for unifying this nation, let my last act as president be. I'm not only going to pardon my son, who was simply a pawn in a much bigger game, I'm going to give pardons, full pardons, to President Donald J. Trump and wipe the slate clean and encourage all Americans to unite behind our dutifully elected president. And let's move forward together as a nation healing. But he didn't do that because it's partisan politics to the death.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. The president reportedly decided this weekend to pardon his son.
Well, he only has so many moments of lucidity, so he can only be awake so long. You got to make the decisions before the ice cream melts.
Well, true. Or Andrew Alvarez says Hunter should be found not guilty because the form that he allegedly lit on is constitutionally forcing people to incriminate themselves, which violates the Fifth Amendment.
Fair.
What else was uncovered this weekend that would have forced Joe to take the spotlight? Joe pardoned his son, but is using his son as a shield.
You talking about the hotel?
The hotel in New York City that is being paid.
You want to talk about money, money, money. Read what's the coincidental web that's woven here. Brian Small wants to know if he thinks Joe will pardon the Astros. No, they have to go back to 2017 to do that.
That can't happen.
Way too far.
City of New York is paying $220 million to rent the entire Roosevelt Hotel in Manhattan to house illegal migrants. This hotel had been closed since 2020. The hotel apparently is owned by the government of Pakistan, and the deal was part of a $1.1 billion International Monetary Fund bailout package to help Pakistan avoid defaulting on their international debt.
So you pay them $220 million, and then you fill the hotel with illegal immigrants. That's what they did.
And once the 3-year contract is over, The hotel will be returned to the government of Pakistan.
Who will have $220 million to renovate it? I wonder if the owners are named Patel.
The U.S., by the way, the largest contributor of money to the International Monetary Fund.
By far.
By far. And you know New York is not going to pay for this out of the city's coffers, its own pocket. The money will come from the federal government somewhere.
International Monetary Fund, the U.S. puts in $117 billion. The idea being the money's used to help developing nations while we have homeless veterans in our country, while we have homeless folks in our country.
Why do we
citizens in our country?
Why does, thank you, Andrew Alvarez, aliens?
$117 billion.
But why did we have to do a $1.1 billion bailout so that Pakistan doesn't default on their loan?
Because we have to have a solvent Pakistan so we can do gender studies over there for $300 million.
Fair enough.
You've got to have. Think about that. That's $20 billion. No, $2 billion per state that could be used for veterans.
30 billion, 3 billion a day, roughly? No, is that right?
I don't know, 300 million a day.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're making up numbers, but I'm following you, sort of.
Just trying to break it down a
lot
little
of
bit,
money.
but I can't break it down. Tammy Williams says, I wonder if the homeless under the bridges can get a warm room too. No, strictly illegal aliens.
You got to be illegal. Yeah. If you're an American citizen and you happen to be homeless, assuming that you don't just want to be homeless,
yeah,
you're out. You can go to a shelter, but you're not going to get your own room at the Roosevelt.
No. This is why Joe Biden decided to pardon Hunter Biden this weekend.
Take the news off of that. Take the pressure off that little factoid. You like my Fetterman I have on today?
It's very nice. It's very Fettermanish. It's
soft.
gray. It's very Fettermanish.
It's chilly. 48's chilly.
Public education might help with mathing. You're right.
Yeah,
Micah
true
Patton.
story, Micah Patton. Yeah. See, and Micah Patton being the all-around good guy that he is and deciding to serve, he's always been kind of had a servant heart, but to serve on the school board, see, his mind immediately goes to, man, imagine if we had an extra $2 billion, what we could do.
They told me there'd be no math in broadcasting.
We had an extra 200 and something million around here. Pay off all the schools and get them all back up to speed with maintenance.
Scott Tomka with a good point. Musk and Ramaswamy will have an easy job identifying the waste, but can we stop it? That is the $1 million question.
Yeah, I think you're going to see them come in and just wholesale start laying people off. I think it's the greatest thing ever. If you are an American and you have any semblance of understanding of the Constitution, anything that happens in Washington that minimizes or reduces the unelected population of the government and returns power to the states, those are good things. It's a good thing to get rid of the Department of Education. You act like Thomas Jefferson instituted that. It's been there since Jimmy Carter was president. An era of growing government.
Yeah, in fact, it came into existence like right at the end of his administration into the Reagan administration. Brian Small says, stopping $1 million questions will save a ton.
Micah says it was difficult listening to y'all divide all that money. Well, when
Jethro
Jethro over here starts ciphering, there's just so many zeros.
I've never had to ever divide that kind of money, and I never will.
You don't have that kind of budget over?
Okay. I don't have that kind of budget anywhere.
Let's talk about people that have that kind of budget. How about USA Concrete Coatings? They can come in and minimize your spend on fixing up your driveway, sidewalk, pool deck. They can help you extend the life of your patio. That's right. fill in the cracks and put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat. They won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. For mere pennies on the dollar, you can go to Veracruz today and have the best Mexican food in town.
Yep, they're back open today. They weren't open all weekend.
Great queso, great fresh salsa, amazing guacamole with little secret ingredient that we know, but we
Just
can't
good
tell you.
food.
Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen, the best value in towing anywhere in this region. You're on the side of the road, you've got a big rig upside down, you've got to just get a car delivered to Giddings for a new employee. Allen's can put it on a flatbed and take it for you. Compadre's design. Did you see where our buddy Chris Soule shaved his head?
No, I did not see
I
that.
don't know what he's celebrating. I think he's probably honestly lost a bet regarding the Texas A&M versus Texas football game.
Or maybe the Cowboys Giants.
Wow. Cowboys. We'll get to that in a minute. Parvita Wellness, get in and get healthy. Let Erica Briggs help you. If you're somebody who is facing bariatric surgery or you've had it and you need to be on a special diet, or if you've got celiac or something that causes you to need to avoid gluten, these are the types of projects that Erica excels at.
I had a turkey lasagna in my freezer, and I just did not feel like cooking last night. I defrosted it, nuked it, and dinner was served.
And it was good.
Voila.
There you go. The office is at 205. Call John Paul Hull. You can call Mr. Geets, but really, John Paul's the guy.
He is the guy.
Reach out. He's the guy. He knows the guy. Get a hold of JP and get you a suite right here next to Wade and Carter. What a deal. What else did we have? I'd sent you the four things. There's the four things.
Well, we
Trying
talked
to
about
help-
Hunter.
trying to
We
help
talked
the
about,
content.
talked about the hotel.
What about that 2-year-old?
Yeah,
How about
let's
that
get to the
2-year-old?
two-year-old. Let me get to the 2-year-old.
You buying it? You
No,
buying
I'm
it?
not buying. She the headlines are a little bit, I mean, depending on who you go to, right? 2-year-old migrant girl picked up at the border tells cops she's come to the U.S. alone to find her parents.
Well, good luck,
How
sweetheart.
many 2-year-olds could put that sentence together? I mean, aside from my grandson when he was that age, but
Donde está mi madre?
oh, yeah, she had a piece of paper with her in her hand, with just the first name and a phone number. Come on, where?
How'd she get here?
I don't. She's from El Salvador. You're telling me she walked from El Salvador in a bright pink jacket that she was wearing, and held that piece of paper the whole way?
Nah. I'm not telling you that because I
Now-
don't believe that.
Does I need to look at a map? Would she have to go through the Darien Gap, leaving El Salvador to get to the United States, or is it north of the Darien Gap? Let's see. Honduras, Guatemala. Okay, no, she does not have to go through Panama. So there you go. She misses the Darien Gap by a couple of countries. But she would have had to go through the mountainous regions of Guatemala, through Tabasco, through Puebla, through Mexico City, through Monterrey, all the way up to the border as a 2-year-old girl.
Yeah, not buying it.
And showed up amongst a group of more than 200 illegals, including 60 unaccompanied minors. Let's not forget, this is the administration that has lost 300,000 children in 4 years and have no idea where their parents are. But they criticized Trump when he had a few hundred that had no parents.
Brian Small says you need a crystal map. Oh, a punster. He's awfully alert on
He
a
is
Monday.
alert
You
on
know
a
why
Monday.
he's so excited? First day
4
back in
days off.
Louise. Cowboys won last week. Twice. They won on Sunday and again on Thursday. Maybe they're just taking too long off between games.
Maybe so.
I don't know how, but the Cowboys found a way to beat the Giants. And then the exiled quarterback, Jones, David Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones? Davy Jones was in the Partridge Family, wasn't
Yes,
he?
I believe so.
I don't know. Daniel Jones played pretty good after Trevor Lawrence got hit. They're trying to slide. I don't know who won that game. Don't really care.
Who the Jaguars play?
Jaguars?
Texans, right?
No, the Texans had to win that game. They're the Texans. Dallas Cowboys come in and win.
Speaking of had to win,
Willie Adames, really a fine player, but keep that name in mind, folks. If the Astros don't sign Alex Bregman, there's a really good chance they're going to try to sign a kid named Willie Adames, who plays for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's 29 years old. He's a fine third baseman, defensively and offensively. No, I don't want him instead of Bregman. No, I don't. But if Bregman decides, what it does is it gives the Astros a little bit of a leverage, a little bit of a bargaining chip in the event that Bregman decides to, say, go sign with the Yankees. Then the Astros have a kid. Adames should make less money than Bregman, too, because Bregman's going to set the market. He's a perennial all-star. He's a gold glove player. He's a better third baseman than Willie Adames, but Adames would be certainly
more than capable.
Efficient. Yeah, he would be more than capable. Would not be John Singleton.
Yeah, no, he's not John Singleton at third. Absolutely.
He is a player.
The equivalent thereof. No.
Yes. So I could see Adames being our guy.
Remember when we were all up in arms when George Springer left to go play in Toronto?
Oh,
we what were we going to do? And now they're saddled with that terrible contract.
I guarantee he wishes he was back here, and they wish they had not signed him. The Texans beat the Jaguars 23-20 yesterday. They're now 8-5. That's kind of the new kind of the team of Wade and Carter a little bit. Cowboys won 27-20. They're now 5-7, 1-5 at home. They're really a road team, sort of. That's the way I look at it.
5-7 can make you a road team when you're two games under 500. But
sure.
Browns Broncos tonight. That's just not one that
couldn't care less.
No, it really couldn't. But how about the Texans? Let me give you a non-fans synopsis of the A&M Longhorns renewed rivalry after 11, 12 years.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this at all, so I'm curious to see what you thought.
And I didn't get a chance to watch all the game. I saw a little bit in the airport traveling. I saw a little bit here and there, and I saw the highlights. But I kept tabs on it on my app because I was able to have Wi-Fi on the plane. And from everything I've gathered, the score flattered the Aggies.
Yeah,
17-7 was the final. You would think it was a close game, and
that was as good as it could be.
And it was, and from what I gathered and saw, both teams played really well on defense. I would say the offenses sputtered. I don't think any offense was really great. The numbers weren't overwhelming when I perused the box scores, but the Aggies were never really in it after coming away empty. What, on their opening drive?
I don't know why they didn't kick they always say you take the points in the first. I thought Daniel Jones played quarterback. I thought the guy from the Giants played for Jacksonville yesterday.
I don't know.
Anyway,
it's Jacksonville. Who
doesn't
cares?
matter. Nobody cares.
And
but the
Minnesota
NFL's just
doing
got
good,
some. Yeah. I was sitting there with a group of Aggies and just going, "Are you kidding me? He's not kicking the field goal here." And I think I get the message that was trying to be sent. It was the opening drive, Ash. They had really moved down the field fairly easily, I thought, consistently, strongly. They'd made a really good drive. And I think Elko was saying to himself, if we can jam this, into the end zone,
we ram it up their butts.
We can essentially be saying, this is the SEC. Welcome to the trenches. 111,000 screaming people at night at Kyle Field. We just took the opening kickoff, went the length of the field, and jammed it down your throats. But instead, they got stuffed, and as a result, they went 0 for 4 on fourth down the whole evening. Texas, the only touchdown the Aggies had was a very nicely deflected pass by a very, very, very overrated Quinn Ewers, who I now have listed as a 4th-round draft pick. I think that, is Quinn Ewers a good college quarterback? Yes. Is he the weakest part? Is quarterback the weakest part of this Longhorns program? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Our O-line is SEC ready. The defensive line was awesome. Our 3rd-string running back ran for 186 yards against A&M. 186 yards against the Wrecking Crew. Now, the weakest position we have on the field is quarterback. And he's still good. I mean, he's a good player, but he's not a great player. Quinn Ewers will go to the NFL and be a clipboard holder. That's what he'll do. He's not ever going to be. He's too immobile. He makes Bernie Kosar look like Michael Vick. So I'm just telling you, the worst thing that could have happened to the Aggies would be if they had decided to put Arch Manning in and leave him in. That would have been devastating. Could have very easily, would have, could have, should have, just as easily as the Aggies could have been in it. It could have been 30-0. So I'm perfectly satisfied at 17-7. Hostile environment, tough place to play, quality opponent. But the Aggies have done what the Aggies do, Ash. You have to be honest. They lost their opener against Notre Dame. They won a bunch of stuff in the middle. Bowling Green, New Mexico State, right? And then they lose 3 out of their last 4. They lose to South Carolina, who's playing as good as anybody.
Yeah.
They lose to Auburn, who's not.
South Carolina beat Clemson.
Yeah, they lose to Auburn, who sucks. And they beat New Mexico State. And then I think Texas absolutely dominated the game, certainly on defense. So I think Texas is going to beat Georgia, too. Georgia, all they wanted by playing Georgia Tech.
Yeah. 8 overtimes. Although, I mean, they took the first half off and then came back. But, yeah, exciting game. I turned it off at halftime.
Yeah. I agree with Jonathan Williams. A&M was dumb trying to go for it 3rd and 4th and 1 by running it up the middle every time with their 3rd-string running back. Horrible play calling. When it's late in the game and you're trying to establish the run against a superior team.
Or make a statement.
Yeah, you're making bad statements.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Well, you're right. Brian Small says you'd think Carter went to A&M. You would, because I'm being objective here. I'm not just hating on the Aggies.
Hostile crowd except for the review officials and Kirk Herbstreit.
Oh, cry me a river, HR. There's not enough penalties that could have been called to keep you guys in that game. Y'all were beat. Y'all were beaten soundly.
So all I've seen is 3 reviews, and they all went for the Longhorns.
They were all wrong.
Let me ask. Were they overturned, or were they upheld? The rulings on the field upheld for lack of.
Right. The officials were against the Longhorns. No, he's out of bounds. Well, the review shows he was in bounds. The benefit of the doubt on the field went to the Aggies every time. But the Aggies will always, they could get beat 56-0 and they would whine about, there was a holding call in the 3rd quarter. We were right there until that happened. No, you just got throttled.
That's why I don't like instant replay.
Well, I love instant replay. In this case, they got it right every time. It was indisputable that Arch Manning did score. I did not know this. If I'm in bounds, the goal line extends infinitely in both directions out of bounds. If I'm in bounds and the ball crosses the mythical extended goal line, even if it's out of bounds, it's still a score.
Yeah, there's the stupidity of where we are in football. At one point, you had to get it in the end zone between the pylons.
Sure, and you should.
And that's all you should be doing.
But that's not the rule.
No, I know, and it's dumb. It's the dumbest rule. It's the same thing with all this continuation onto the ground in foot with receivers. Yet the ground can't make you fumble, but you can have control all the way to the ground, and the ground out of bounds can make you incomplete pass.
Right.
Makes no sense. This is
no
how
sense.
Stupid football
but I
is
did
with
not
the
know
rules.
that until they pointed it out. I thought that, in fact, I was the guy in my group who was going, no, the ball didn't cross the.
B. Small says, yeah, that was news to him. Then why do guys always try to reach into the pylon?
Well, maybe that's the NFL.
Oh, maybe.
In the NFL, you see the guy always does that. At the last second, sticks it across the pylon.
Yeah. Well, it is college, and we can't have anybody accountable for actually getting into the end zone between the pylons anymore.
It's a little known fact.
They might transfer and enter the portal if they can't get in between the pylons.
Our athletic director, Chris Del Conte, was actually the guy chosen to be the celebrity play review guy. So our athletic director is the guy who said, no, that's a touchdown.
What? They didn't give it to... They didn't give it to
Can you tell me the Aggies
to Matthew McConaughey?
Athletic director? You know him. You've met him. He was the guy in the maroon jacket. Yeah, nobody knows.
My memory.
Nobody knows. That's just it. There's the abyss between the two programs is so broad.
No, I might know who it is. It's
Trev Albert.
No. Yeah.
Trev Albert is the guy.
I knew the old one, Ross Bjork.
Bjork was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with this though. Now there's a bunch of Aggies wanting Craig Elko's head. The guy was the savior. He was the one that wanted to be there. Well, just wait till he gets all his recruits there. Here's the problem I have with that as well. And I'm not knocking him as a coach. It's just generalization of the argument. The Aggies have had a top 5, arguably, and again, I don't like the rankings of draft classes, right? But arguably, by every measure, they've had a top 5 draft class or recruiting class in the last several years, going back several coaches. And none of them can get it done. But you're going to blame Elko. Well, if you're going to blame Elko, why couldn't Elko get it done with top 5 recruits that he didn't bring in? And I'll tell you why. Because the subjectiveness of ranking recruiting classes is stupid. That's why. And if you recruit a bunch of athletes that could play multiple positions but can't master one position that you need them to master, you haven't done a very good job of recruiting to your team's needs, despite the ability of having a bunch of 5-star recruits.
I like the Elko hire. I think he really made a believer out of me this year. I don't.
No, HR, I've seen many. The OC for up the middle, absolutely. But again, maybe if you're the head,
they ought to fire the head coach, the offensive coordinator.
Well, maybe if you're the head coach,
Colin Klein calls
somewhere along the way you get into your OC's headset and you go, you know what? I don't want to run up the middle anymore.
Yeah, Colin Klein calls plays that worked for Colin Klein when he was a Heisman finalist at Kansas State. These same plays don't work well in the SEC against the big linemen that are there. Colin Klein, you will see him served up this offseason. It's what the Aggies do, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Hey, if Gus Malzahn can get back as an OC,
right.
Where did he go? Florida State now after being at UCF?
They will fire Colin Klein, and that's fine
and
because
he'll be just fine.
He deserves to go. But Elko did a good job. I think that you pointed out we disagreed on this because I said that coaching is what led to Auburn beating the Aggies. And I was like, you've got to get that team focused on Auburn, not on Texas. I don't think there's any doubt the Aggies were looking ahead. I think that's human nature. I think they probably, to a degree, took for granted that they would beat the Tigers. And I don't think that was an irrational thought process. They were 1-5 in the SEC, and the Aggies should have beat them. Brian Small says, bring in Calvin Klein. They'd have new coveralls for all the yell leaders. Woo! I just look at the Aggies program, and I'm sorry. There's a lot of ways to get from here to there. The Aggies found another way to get to 8-4. Now, you will have people say,
which is right about where we figured they would be.
Yeah, I said they would go
Texas
7-5,
8-4
at best.
Then I think.
But for them to go 8-4, I was saying they had to beat Texas. I did not expect them to lose to South Carolina and Auburn. I had them losing to one or the other, which would have made them 7-5. And I said if they beat Texas, they go 8-4. But little known fact, they lose to all three after being,
7-1. Right?
Yeah, they were playing great football
and finish 8-4.
Yeah, very interesting how things are shaking out there. I think the Aggies are on the right track. I did have an Aggie tell me if, and you guys are all great sports fans, whether you really love to follow sports or not, you indulge us. I had an Aggie tell me the other day, well, look at it like this. This is Elko's first year, and he went 8-4. And in Sark's first year, he only went 5-7. I go, yeah, but he went 5-7, 8-5, 12-2, and now he's 11-1. So call me when you have back-to-back 11-plus win seasons. Call me. Because you've done it once when Johnny Manziel was there, and that's it. And you've never played an SEC championship game, and we did it our first year after being deemed not SEC ready. Oh, you remember, Ash. I'm not going to gloat very long, but I'll take that moment to say, oh, you guys, yeah, well, you just wait till you get to the SEC. I mean, it's a grind every week. Every week is a grind. You've got no chance to win the SEC.
Just ask everybody who played Vanderbilt this year.
Absolutely. Vanderbilt was tough. Horns essentially, have the best record in the SEC. There you have it. Welcome to Texas.
But, then again, you've got Mississippi State.
Sure. What about Oregon? Oregon, number 1, Texas, number 2. Apparently, Oregon, legit. They're in the Big Ten. Yeah. Apparently, Oregon, quite legit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Texas finishes up with the best regular season record.
Kentucky, maybe the best 1-7 conference team.
I agree.
Ever.
I agree. Kentucky's a good program.
Yeah. The Sooners went 2-6, Vandy 3-5 in the SEC, Arkansas 3-5, Florida better than people thought at 4-4 in the conference.
Both South Carolina and the Aggies scored more points than Texas this year. So did Ole Miss. But if you go down that list, you start at 118. Find me somebody who gave up fewer points than Texas.
Nobody in the
There
SEC.
ain't nobody.
So there you go.
Best defense in the conference. Daniel Rollins asked a really legit question. There's a big push. He says, will the Aggies go back to the Big 12? No, they won't. But I'll tell you this.
Big 12 is not the conference it was now that Texas and Oklahoma left it. And
that they were the conference. Colorado looking to win that conference. The Aggies, though, there has been a serious push among some of their folks to go to the Big 10, citing that they more realistically align with the Big 10 and the AAU schools academically. Of course, A&M being a superior academic institution.
How can you keep realigning yourself with like institutions?
You can only run so far. If we follow them to the Big 10, then are they going to? Because if anybody blends in with Michigan, Ohio State, it's Texas. So if we follow you to the Big 10, are you going to run to the Newfoundland League? Are you going to go to Canada? Over there in South Dakota, right on the border?
Yeah.
You like how I did that?
I did.
Stupidometer.
Really, you're going to go, I can't imagine.
Let me tell you teams that are going to get spanked in the playoffs. The Indiana Hoosiers, dispatched. The Penn State Nittany Lions, dispatched. Ohio State
might surprise. I don't
got beat by Michigan. That just shows you that rivalry games are real. Is that unbelievable?
Yep.
Ohio State, there are many teams in the Big Ten who have given up 3 times as many points. Most have given up twice as many points as Ohio State, who only gave up 111. That's crazy.
Look at Oregon outscoring opponents 3-1.
3-1. The Ducks are real.
Yeah,
Oregon's real. And, Dan Lanning's done a really fine job there. He was a coach at Georgia and left to go be the guy. I don't know how.
Throttled Washington.
Are they going to get rid of that guy, Ryan Day, at Ohio State?
I don't know.
They were ranked in the top 5 all season.
You're going to fire a coach with 2 losses.
I don't know. It's Ohio State. I mean, they expect to win championships, right? It's like Baylor.
They went a long way between championships.
It's like Baylor.
Woody Hayes left there.
You can ask B. Small. It's a lot like Baylor, playing for the Natty every year.
You can feel like you're playing for the Natty when you go to Atzenhofer because you'll walk away a winner with a brand new car.
A stretch, but a good stretch.
Not bad.
I'll
I'm
give you
rusty.
that.
It's been a week. Come on. Atzenhofer, Atzenhofer.com for all your new car needs. Chevrolet, Mazda, Mitsubishi, pre-owned. They've got them all. And if they don't have what you're looking for, just tell them what you want, and they'll go find it for you. Arcade Development Group, Daniel Rollins and the gang, they can help you with everything you need, whether it's specifically metal buildings. They love to do metal buildings, but they can handle all sorts of construction. Give Daniel a call. Reach out to him. He can help you with your next project. And the VCS companies certainly can do all the communication inside of that facility for you. So give them a ring as well.
And then if it's out in the county, White Trash Services can show up and give you trash service.
They will.
Dumpsters at the site, anything you need. If you need something cleaned off that lot before you build, you okay there? Welcome back. Just bang the glass.
Chip the tooth.
Easy on the extruded aluminum hardware.
Chesnick Furniture Company can then outfit that metal building with your furniture. If you're turning it into a barndominium, any room in the home, Chesnick's got you covered. And don't forget December 12th, Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends.
That's a Thursday night. 550-1826, the number to dial at White Trash Services.
It was like a mini Wade and Carter reunion when I was home. There were 4 regular listeners
J-Dub in the house.
attendance.
Who all was
J-Dub,
there?
Jarrett McCrugen,
The Kraken.
Johnny Houghton.
What, did y'all just have like a parole officer get together while you were there?
Yeah.
Jonathan Williams says the fight post-game was fun.
I want to get to that because a lot of stupid stuff this past weekend with teams. And this is how you know that these guys all talk on social media. You're telling me that the Einsteins and geniuses at Ohio State, Arizona State, and where was the other one? There were 3 big fights over the weekend. And they all decided that they were going to plant their school flag on the field just on a whim. No,
that was
they all
pre-organized.
talked. It was all pre-organized. It was orchestrated. Somebody
so when
said,
Michigan wins, they want to run out to the big O in the middle of the Ohio State field. You know, they had that big flag that cheerleaders run with, and you go out there and you ceremoniously plant that flag into the ground. And the Ohio State players decided they were having none of it, and a little melee broke out. Now, I saw a lack of class. Well, I saw a very, very big act of class by Coach Steve Sarkisian. He was asked after the game, something. He answered the question very quickly and turned and ran to midfield where there were some UT players out on the field at Kyle Field, kind of like scuffing their cleats on the A&M at midfield. I don't like that. I don't think that's to the victor the spoils. I just think that's fairly classless. And to his credit,
whatever happened to just stealing Reveille or Bevo?
Sarkisian ran right into the middle of that and grabbed players and was like, get to the locker room. We ain't doing that stuff here. Yep. And I respect that. I appreciate that. It's okay to use another team's coach as a figurehead. We make fun of Elko's weight, things like that. But at the end of the day, I think they're both very, very respectable gentlemen and very, very proud of the way Sarkisian handled that.
NC State, North Carolina. Thanks, Jonathan Williams. But yeah, just stupid. But this is all part of where college football is devolving a little bit with some of this post-game antics. They all mill about and shake hands and talk to each other. Sports.
Let's play together next year. Let's all go to USC. Yeah. There's no real loyalty to a program. They didn't grow up in a program. A lot of these guys, Brian Small says, I'm surprised the Aggies didn't pull out their fake swords. I'll tell you what's funny about that is back when I was a kid, there was a little overzealous. There was a group of SMU cheerleaders ended up out on the field. This is when SMU was good, as they are again, apparently. And this Aggie guy came out and just pulled his saber to defend the memorial field, and this SMU cheerleader just dropped him. Boom, done. It's great stuff. Great stuff.
HR says they're real.
They are real.
I'm not done.
They are real. But you know, the one of the great lines of all time, and by the way, I'm a big fan.
If you pulled that out, though, would you be charged with brandishing a weapon?
You could be. The Corps is very real. I have a lot of respect for the Corps at Texas A&M. They produce a lot of Army officers, and it's just one click below the military academies. There's nothing wrong with being
and
in
2
the Corps.
clicks below the Moonies and 3 clicks below.
See, that's just rude. But I'm going to tell you that I loved it when Mike Leach
Scientologists.
used to say that he wanted to start his own pirate school. And you start out with nothing, and then like when you're a junior, you get a bandana, and then he just he goes, we could do pirate things when you're a senior.
I would hate to graduate to where they take your leg, though.
Right.
I don't want to get that far. Is that a master's or a doctorate? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not sure I'd want to get that far.
Crazy. How did Washington State do this weekend?
Lost to Wyoming.
Come on. The Cowboys put it on them, huh?
Yeah. No, beat us on a last-minute touchdown again or something like that. I don't know. It's 3 in a row. We lost down the stretch last minute. Terrible. Terrible. So they're calling for Dickert's head, and, I mean, we go 8-4. Not sure, but whatever.
There you go.
Yeah. I want to talk about this a little bit because really funny to listen to read the headlines, watch all the fear mongering on the snow that was falling in Buffalo last night. If any of you watched,
doesn't it always snow in Buffalo in December?
Yeah, nearly 4 feet of snow fell on parts of western New York over the last few days. They have mountains there. Imagine that.
Yeah.
Well, according to the National Weather Service's Weather Prediction Center, some places exceeding the 4-foot mark. Did they actually exceed it, or was that their prediction to exceed it? But making it seem like, and maybe this is why, 1/10 of our population is illegals.
They don't like the cold.
From countries that typically don't get a lot of snow unless you're living in the mountains of El Salvador or Colombia or Nicaragua.
That's cocaine. That's not snow. Wow, man. Let's go outside and breathe the snow.
Code word. But maybe that's why all the fear mongering. Maybe because you've got a whole bunch of Somalis living in Ohio and they're not used to the cold. Or no, it's Haitians. They're definitely not used to the cold.
No.
They don't use those fires to keep warm. They use them to barbecue your dogs, according to the media. But I laughed at this because you would think that that winter never happens in some of these states. Oh, it's going to be blowing and cold in North Dakota. Hello, it's North Dakota in the beginning of December.
Consistent with climate change alarmists, or do they think that it should be hotter in the winter than it is?
Both. They want to panic people, but they think that it shouldn't be this cold.
I've been watching this program called Landman with Billy Bob Thornton, who I just can't help but like. And he did a really broad dissertation last night on petroleum and how that, everything that's everything has petroleum in it, whether from hand lotion to lipstick to everything plastic to, 90% of your car parts and on and on and on. And it's intense. He talks about if oil's over $100 a barrel, then everybody has to adjust their prices. If it's below 60, it becomes prohibitive to try to get it out of the ground. But, it's $78 a barrel. Oil's in its sweet spot. You can afford it. Fuel's affordable. Very interesting how the world revolves around oil. And it does.
Yeah. The New York Times. Let's listen to the coverage. President-elect Donald Trump's decision to install Kash Patel as FBI director indicates that he remains undaunted by Washington resistance as he appoints ideological warriors, conspiracy theorists, and even relatives.
So Patel's the guy that exposed the Russia hoax, right? That's his claim to fame.
And I think he's also former public prosecutor, I believe.
He calls himself an avenger against the supposed deep state. The supposed deep state, as if it doesn't exist. It does exist. Yeah. I don't know, but I don't know why Donald does this stuff. Are you going to tell me that he can't find a better guy than Charles Kushner?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Really? You're going to get your son-in-law's dad, a man that you had to pardon, and you're going to put him in charge of what? What are they putting him in charge of?
I think he's the ambassador
right up here
to France, right?
I saw it. I don't know what he's going to do. I just think that some of that's crazy. You got to be able to find. It's Ivanka. It's the father of Ivanka Trump's husband, Jared Kushner, and he's a felon that was pardoned by Trump, and he's the ambassador to France. I mean, I just don't. Donald's lack of understanding of he's like he wants to really just throw it in the face of anybody that is a naysayer at all.
And Mossad Boulos, the father of Tiffany Trump's husband, Michael, will be his senior advisor on Arab and Middle Eastern affairs. Yeah, maybe he doesn't know any other Arabs. I don't know.
Right?
Fair enough.
I don't get it. I think that he could do, but you can't really say that the guy's trying to become a dictator and he's bringing in an opponent for president in RFK Jr., who's clearly not a Republican, Tulsi Gabbard, who's a female with influence, an independent female, so he's certainly not being misogynistic, and he's bringing her in, who is not a Republican. She's left the Democrat Party, but she's not a Republican. It seems to be people who he knows, who he's comfortable with, and whose intellect he trusts.
Well, let's not forget, though, he did trust mainstream Republicans to a point in his first term, and all they did was stab him in the back, right?
I agree.
So he's not going to do it this time.
I don't agree with the point in the Kushner guy, though. I don't know much about him. This Dr. J, how do you pronounce that?
Bhattacharya, I think.
Bacteria?
Yeah, Bhattacharya, I think.
J. Bacteria. He's the head guy for the National Institutes of Health.
This guy's smart enough to be a professor of medicine at Stanford, but was too smart, according to the folks there and the left back in 2020 when COVID hit, to have his own opinion on COVID, and they tried to get him out.
Well, he was anti all the isolationism during COVID, and he's also a little bit skeptical of some vaccines. And that causes
mostly mRNA.
Right. And that causes all these people that are just, when in doubt, jab a kid. That causes them to get all up in arms. But he's got an MD and a PhD from the Stanford School of Medicine. He's clearly not some quack guy coming in off the street.
No.
But number one, 90% of you, and you're the elite of the elite. Our listeners on Magic, our listeners even on like YouTube and stuff, are the elite of the elite. You're the intellectual listener. You can't name 5 people on Joe Biden's cabinet, and they've been around for 4 years. You can't name them. Don't tell me you can, because you can't. And at the end of the day, if you go and look up who's in charge of the National Institute of Health right now, it's not Tony Fauci. And you'll go look it up. I don't know who it is. Who's the NIH director right now? Let's go look at his background. I don't know. Monica Bertagnolli. Bertagnolli.
No clue.
Let's see who she is, though. She's 17th director of the. She's an MD.
Appointed by Biden nominated on May 15th of 23.
She's the first surgeon and the second woman to hold the position.
She was director of the National Cancer Institute before that.
She's the professor of surgery in surgical oncology. She's a cancer doctor. I mean, God bless her. But, I mean, what does she know about vaccines? I'm just saying. Who cares? I'm not judging her. She's probably a great administrator. So I think she's done a great job. Super.
Well, she's only been in there a year.
No. She needs a statue. But I mean, that's the whole point, is you can't judge that book by its cover. J Bacteria is just as good. Folks, we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. It's Monday. Go win today. You can't win the week if you don't win Monday. We will be here in the morning.
See you tomorrow, folks.
Bye, folks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.